This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, students rally on campus against the TPPA. But are their protest calls too late? The DCC teams up with Chorus to commission more cabinet artworks, with ratepayers potentially chipping in down the track. And the city plays host to a synchronised swimming competition, but is local support for the sport waning? Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Rebecca Dupree. Dozens of local tertiary students are against the government's latest foreign trade deal. They've been taking part in a protest rally on campus to voice their concerns about the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, but their efforts may have been in vain.
Rallying the crowd, the city's tertiary students are making their opposition to New Zealand's involvement in the TPPA known. They're staging a protest on campus to coincide with ongoing trade deal negotiations.
Today's rally is in part putting up a real last-minute action to say don't sign the deal, don't sign it now, and probably don't sign it ever. And the second part is saying that the students have a voice. We have a voice in this issue, we have a voice in heaps of issues. Don't ignore us.
Those opposing the deal say there's too much secrecy around its contents. Some people are also worried it could hit students where it hurts in the pocket.
It's going to hit us specifically as students. We're already struggling as it is to afford basic stuff like medicine and food, to afford basic stuff like our course equipment and whatnot. We don't want to have to pay more because it's not really an option anymore for us.
The Students Against TPPA group isn't reaching out to any politicians. Instead, members are aligning with the wider TPPA protest movement in the city.
It's definitely having notice taken of it. Every single mobilisation is getting more and more people paying attention. There are smaller and smaller actions which get attention paid to them. They get media coverage. They get comments from ministers and whatnot. People are starting to pay attention because it's in so many towns and cities it's hard not to anymore.
Trade ministers from 12 countries, including New Zealand, are meeting in Atlanta this week to continue negotiations. The agreement could be signed as early as Sunday. Ruby McAndrew, 39 Dunedin News.
Locals are likely to miss out on a new government push to get more young people into trades. The government is transferring funding from its Youth Guarantee program to finance more places in trades academies. But it's making extra positions in the North Island a priority. Funding is being channelled into areas like Northland, South Auckland, Bay of Plenty and Gisborne. Otago Polytechnic is the main local trades academy provider. It's not been decided whether any additional spaces will be funded locally. Overall, almost 1,000 extra places are being created nationwide. The city is set to become brighter with more artworks adorning street cabinets. It's a project between the City Council and Chorus, which is funding the work, but ratepayers might help to finance future creations.
Beautifying the city, one cabinet at a time. Chorus and the Dunedin City Council are asking local artists to design and paint murals on electric boxes in an effort to stop vandalism.
Initially it started out as a bit of a graffiti guard type thing, that they chose the most tagged sites because they find that once there's a piece of art on there they don't get tagged as much.
The project's been going for a couple of years and so far 20 public boxes have been made into works of art. It's become such a popular scheme that the call's been made for more artists to get on board. That'll see another dozen cabinets decorated across the city during the next 6 months.
From our point of view, we just love what's going on with seeing what's a pretty utilitarian piece of equipment out in the street turned into something really beautiful. And I think there's some pretty big name artists that have been involved.
Chorus is providing $1,000 for each cabinet to cover the artist's costs. The council's happy it doesn't have to dip into its own pocket for the project, but it's spending thousands of dollars on other ways to make the city more attractive.
Our team is really heavily involved in trying to make the city look more beautiful. We've been constrained in terms of the budgets we've had over the last few years, but that's starting to ease up a little bit over the coming years with things like the Central City Plan and some of our other amenity works coming up.
The next boxes to be painted have been chosen in different parts of the city. Artists have until the end of the month to submit their designs. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
Police are looking for 2 women believed to be cruising the city in a stolen vehicle. The black Subaru Legacy was stolen from Thorn Street around 8 o'clock yesterday morning. Just before 5 p.m, 2 women believed to be in their early 20s allegedly crashed the stolen car on McMaster Road near Saddle Hill. They were helped by a farmer and then drove away. The farmer took a photograph of the women and the vehicle, which is now being analysed by police. The best synchronised swimmers in the country are competing in Dunedin. More than 80 competitors are taking part in the National Synchronised Swimming Championships at Moana Pool, but the local contingent is causing concern.
Getting their moves in sync. Swimmers from around the country are having their final practice for the National Synchronised Swimming Championships. Dunedin's hosting the event, although not many locals are involved.
It's not growing in Dunedin. We had a wee collapse this year. So we're looking for more swimmers to come along. We've got a little group of little tots, 7 and 8 year olds, and they'll be doing a display on Sunday afternoon.
The sport's growing elsewhere, with numbers up in Auckland and in Invercargill. Some competitors say it's something they've simply fallen into.
I always liked gymnastics and I always loved to swim, and so I guess I googled it one day and said synchronised swimming.
Each performance is judged on its difficulty and artistic direction. For swimmers, this championship event follows months or even years of training, and competitors are aiming to meet the strict criteria.
This Nationals, I'm hoping to come home with a medal, do well in my individual figures and swim my combo as strong as we can as a team.
Doing well at a national level can lead to bigger competitions overseas. Synchronised swimming is an Olympic sport, and the success of Kiwis internationally can often inspire others to take the plunge.
I think it helps the young ones to know that there's something else more than just nationals and just competing locally, that you can go and compete for your country on the world stage.
Swimmers as young as 7 years old will take to the pool over the next few days for the championships. They'll be hoping to make months of hard work look easy in the water. Ruby McAndrew, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, we take a look at the argument for changing the flag and at a school holiday program that's preparing kids for the digital world.
Is a very tragic death, a very painful death, a very prolonged death, and certainly nothing that needs to happen.
It's not part of our anatomy that people like to think about that much, but actually we need to.
People don't know the symptoms. About half of people you ask don't know the symptoms of the disease, and that makes them very much at risk of dying from the disease or having a much poorer outcome, because the disease is very curable if it's caught early.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
$128 tracks, dynamic automation, dual faders, and totally digital. This is state-of-the-art music production. The SSL Digital Console. You'll find one in the BBC studios in London, another at CBS studios in New York, and now one at the University of Otago. It's a good reason why our sound now sounds even better. My name is Maddie Parkins Craig, and this is my place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product, and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Hedges are something we almost take for granted. A good hedge needs regular maintenance to look its best and to add value and character to your property. For all your hedge care needs, call the team at SGC Services on 0800 783 453.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's Oat Singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's Oat Singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's Oat Singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
At your locally owned and operated Veggie Boys store, we've got fresh produce daily, fruit, veggies and more. Competitive prices are just one of the reasons people come to us in all seasons. Convenient locations and friendly crew, Veggie Boys Dunedin, come try something new. Stores in the north, the south, be our guest, Centre City as well to serve you the best. Daily specials on produce that are hard to beat, all tasty and healthy and all good to eat. Don't forget we've also got your milk, bread and meat. Veggie Boys Dunedin, you're guaranteed a treat.
Big Orange, for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Welcome back. Resource consent has been granted for a new Countdown supermarket in Mosgiel, but developers are not allowed to create extra retail spaces within the supermarket complex as originally intended. The Dunedin City Council's Hearings Committee made its decision after a lengthy consultation process. Some residents didn't want a supermarket built on the former St Mary's school site in Gordon Road. Consent for the supermarket is now subject to appeal. And on that note, let's take a look at today's financials. And the NZX 50 has closed the day down 8 points. It's now at 5,585. The Dow Jones is up 236 points. And to the exchange rates, the Kiwi dollar is down against the Australian, but we are up against the other currencies we follow. As the flag referendum approaches, residents are considering the 5 alternative designs. University of Otago design lecturer Dr. Mark Maguire thinks the flag should be changed, and he's here to tell us why. Good evening.
Hi, Rebecca.
What is your preferred flag design?
Well, I would have said none if it were the 4, but now that we have the 5th, I'd say the red peak.
Why?
I think it's the only of one of the 5 options now available that actually looks like a flag. The others work well, I think, as logos, but there's a difference between a logo and a flag. A logo differentiates a brand, a product, a service, but a flag is a symbol of a country, and we've only got one design that I think serves that purpose.
Although Red Peak is closely aligned with the logo of a business in America, I believe. You know.
Yes, I read that in the paper, in the ODT, I think, but it's a small company. I think it's accidental, and they themselves apparently are not concerned.
How do you think it will better represent New Zealand?
I think it brings us up to date visually. It suggests that we're standing on our own, we've grown up, we've matured, and we need an updated representation of what the country stands for. It tells a good story, it's visually strong, and it stands up well along other flags.
Now you haven't, as you alluded to, you haven't always supported the flag change. Why has Red Peak really changed your mind?
Well, when I first saw the long list of 40, there were none there that really jumped out at me. I only became really interested in what was going on when we saw the short list of 4. I was very disappointed. I would have voted not to change the flag if we only had those 4 options. I started following the discussion online. The hashtag for NZ flag was very popular on Twitter, as was hashtag Red Peak. And over time, the Red Peak design grew on me. I read about the story behind it. It made sense. I think it's rich, both in terms of its narrative, and visually it's very strong. So I think it convinced me over time.
What do you say to people who think that the current flag should remain?
I respect their view. I think we always want to remain tied to our history, but we also have to look forward, look ahead. And as I'm a Canadian, I've been here 22 years, and Canada changed its flag to our well-known and I think terrific maple leaf with the red bars on either side in 1965, and yet the country is still a constitutional monarchy, as New Zealand is. So you're not entirely changing or breaking your ties to the past, or say to the United Kingdom, to Britain, by changing the flag, but it does bring things up to date, and it says we're here, we're strong, we're standing on our own 2 feet, and recognize us.
Are there any serious ramifications of changing the flag?
Well, not that I can tell. I think the change will be a positive one. I can't see that there's any constitutional issue or other issue that we should be concerned about that would hold us back from making a change that's well overdue.
Example, the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi, is that likely to become null and void if the flag is changed?
Not that I've heard or am aware of. I can't see that there's any constitutional issue that would get in the way.
Do you think the flag will be changed?
I think it will be changed. I think, too, if there is a vote with the 5, the Red Peak would likely win out, partly because those that prefer the Silver Fern will have 3 choices to choose between, and so their vote's going to be divided. But also, I think as people think and look and read the discussions around the flag, they'll realize that the Red Peak is a stronger design. One example that I saw online that I tried myself is that if you take a bit of paper that's in the proportion of 1 to 2, right? So it's the width is twice the height, right? And you fold it in half 3 times. Then the creases will give you all the points you need for the Red Peak. So you can draw it very simply, very quickly. A child could do this, and I think a flag has to be owned by its people. It has to be able to be drawn easily by anyone, including children. There's a site online now, I think it's called Red Peak of New Zealand, and people have crowdsourced. They put up their designs that they've made where they apply the Red Peak design to everyday objects, so skateboards, hats, dresses, and in one case, fingernails. And it looks beautiful. So I think that's the test of a real flag. Can you paint the flag on your fingernails? It should work at that size, and if it doesn't, it's not a good flag design.
Well, that's something that you could try at home, I guess.
I think so.
University of Otago Design Lecturer Dr. Mark Maguire, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, it may be the school holidays, but some local kids are hard at work learning coding, and a sports commentator gives his thoughts on the All Blacks' chances of winning the World Cup.
Sir Bob Charles, New Zealand's greatest golfer and still going strong.
I'm sure that Sportsville was a contributing factor to my success, and I'll continue to use it.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville, a product so good he puts his name to it.
Well, I believe Sportsville helps maintain your quality of life.
Now being used by active men and women globally to support strength and mobility.
It works for me.
Sir Bob Charles Sportsville in the new All Black Pack. Call now for the Sportsville special, 0800 502 402.
Pellet fires are growing in popularity in Otago with people who want a clean and efficient form of home heating. The sight of a burning flame without the problems of chopping, stacking and carting wood around is a winner. Pellet fires, so easy, so efficient.
At your locally owned and operated Veggie Boys store, we've got fresh produce daily, fruit, veggies and more. Competitive prices are just one of the reasons people come to us in all seasons. Convenient locations and friendly crew, Veggie Boys Dunedin, come try something new. Stores in the north, the south, be our guest, Centre City as well to serve you the best. Daily specials on produce that are hard to beat, all tasty and healthy and all good to eat. Don't forget we've also got your milk, bread and meat. Veggie Boys Dunedin, you're guaranteed a treat.
McClellan Refrigeration is your one-stop shop for heat pumps in Dunedin. We have a range of heating, air conditioning and refrigeration solutions. We also have 20 years experience. McClellan Refrigeration, call us on 477 0088.
I understand now how economics can affect global warming.
And I found out how grass growth in New Zealand affects Fashion Week in Milan.
I can even tell you how smartphone technology affects the survival of mountain gorillas.
Sorry.
Because at the Otago Business School, it's not just about the world of business, it's how business affects the world.
I'm Kim. Michaela.
David. And this is our place in the world.
Take your place in the world.
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook. opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
We can't guarantee what people will do once they leave here, but we can sure as hell try to make it better. We're making headways, especially with our offenders going out and the integration between our industries and the outside industries, like the real stuff. Society just needs to give these guys a chance.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Hello, I'm Dougal Stevenson. Welcome to Museum Diaries, the programme where we showcase the rare and wonderful treasures of the Otago Museum, many of which you don't normally see. On the show, we find out about crayfish, wasps, and gummy sharks. Scott Reeves brings in weapons from the Indian subcontinent. We discuss the impact introduced mammals have on New Zealand's native wildlife, and we talk preventive conservation with Lisa Yates.
Welcome back. School children are learning to code computer games as a holiday project. It's part of a government scheme to teach youngsters about the digital world. But it's not all child's play.
Taking a crack at coding. These kids are making the most of their school holidays by creating video games online.
So at this workshop today, I am teaching kids how to create their own computer game. It's kind of based on Flappy Bird, which is like a really popular game a little while ago.
Programming is a skill that can take years to master, but this lesson's been crammed into a one-day workshop at the Central City Library. And despite their youth, local children are getting the hang of it.
It's good. It's not too hard, but it's a bit difficult.
It can be hard, but nothing's impossible if you say you can do it.
Some of it's pretty difficult to learn, but it's pretty easy if you just follow what he's telling you to do.
It's going really good. It's really fun.
The government-funded program is being operated by the National Libraries Organisation and a computer company. Tutors say digital skills are vital in this day and age.
I would say coding is really important these days, especially as more stuff is getting automated. There are going to be less service jobs in the economy. It's an important skill to have, even if you don't necessarily want to become a programmer. It's good to have that kind of problem-solving ability. That really helps train that in kids, I think.
Workshops like this are being held all over the country. If the program's successful, it could become more permanent. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
The All Blacks are halfway through their pool games in the Rugby World Cup with a match coming up against Georgia. So far, New Zealand is on a winning streak, and Otago Daily Times sports reporter Robert Van Rooyen is here to explain our likely progression. Good evening.
G'day.
What is left for us in this pool phase?
Well, the All Blacks play Georgia this weekend and Tonga next weekend, so two pretty easy matches. I guess the main thing will be to stay injury free and start getting some cohesion before the playoff matches.
How do you think we'll go in the quarterfinals?
Well, I think we're going to play France or Ireland. It just depends who finishes second in their group. It'll probably be France, I think. And if we play them, it's going to be in Cardiff. Rewind 8 years ago, All Blacks. There's France in Cardiff quarterfinal, and the All Blacks lost. So that proposition's obviously going to worry a few people. History repeating. But whoever it is, if it's Ireland, it's going to be a really tough game, and finals games are always tough.
Who is our biggest threat at the moment?
It's dangerous to look past Ireland or France in the quarters, but for me it's always Australia is a big threat, and then England, the prospect of playing them at home in front of their home crowd.
What are some of the surprises that have happened so far in this tournament?
There's been a few. The big one, obviously, Japan beating South Africa. I mean, that's been hailed as the biggest upset in world rugby, not just Rugby World Cup history. So that's the big one. Wales coming beating England last weekend, despite so many injuries, was a big upset as well, and that was really good to see. And then one that went under the radar a bit was Georgia beating Tonga. I don't think too many people picked that one early on.
What potential matchups do you think we would struggle with?
France, history would say France. I think England at home in front of their crowd, as I said before, it's always going to be really tough at Twickenham if that happens. But then again, South Africa, Wales, Ireland, they're all pretty tough. Finals footy is always tough.
And the $1 million question, are we expected to win this cup?
I think the All Blacks are always expected to win it. We've only managed to do it twice still, so it just shows how hard it is to win. I think the only tournament that the All Blacks weren't favourites to win was 1991, when we didn't have a great team, and Australia went on to win that. I still think we're favourites to win, and on paper we've got the best team, no doubt about it, but it's still about turning up and performing on the day.
ODT sports reporter Robert Van Rooyen, thanks very much for your time.
No worries.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. Tertiary students have been making a last-ditch effort to stop New Zealand's involvement in a controversial foreign trade deal. Local artists are being asked to design and paint murals on more chorus cabinets around the city as part of an ongoing project. And more than 80 of the country's best synchronised swimmers are visiting Dunedin for the National Championships at Moana Pool. Well, it's time now to find out what's going to be in tomorrow's Otago Daily Times, and Dave Cannon, Mr. Wash, joins us. Good evening.
I like that sign. Sign off, John. That's very good. I put it in the sign of the day. Excuse me, the throat's not too good. Main story tomorrow is the update on the planetarium. Very exciting for astronomers and sky watchers and the like. The Perpetual Guardian has got behind it at the museum, and so it's going to become a thing of beauty. The Countdown Supermarket in Mosgiel, I guess you guys have covered that story. It's not going to have any retail, which is a bit interesting, so we're chasing Countdown to see what they've got to say about that. We've got the Sinclair Saltwater Pool, very popular pool, which reopened today. Tomorrow, the Friday paper, we always have the Sports Lift Out, which is very popular with the race lift out as well, World Cup stuff in there. And the Wash tomorrow is looking at decorating gates with plates. Hence, we can call them plate gates or gate plates.
Right.
And potholes. You can never have too many pothole stories, I find.
No, it's quite a few around Dunedin.
Heaps of them in one particular car park in Dunedin, I can tell you that. It's so big the ducks use it for a paddling pool.
Read all about it in tomorrow's Wash in the ODT. Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Time now for local weather.
This local weather report proudly brought to you in association with Silberhorn Sportsville.
Nice city view, it's taken looking down Great King Street North. Around the city at 3 o'clock, 18 was the magic and very appreciative number recorded in the central city, the Gardens and the Tyree. To the situation, and a trough of low pressure is spreading over the country. It's followed by a westerly flow. Around the South Island tomorrow, strong sou'westers and showers for Invercargill, Gore and Te Anau. A mostly fine day awaits Alexandra with strong westerly winds at a high of 14. Showers and sou'westers easing for Queenstown. A few showers in Oamaru with sou'westers easing there. Mostly fine weather for Wanaka and Twizel with strong westerlies, 14 degrees each. In Dunedin tonight, gusty nor'westers easing with a low of 8. Westerlies tending southwest in the afternoon tomorrow with a few showers. Winds will become strong for a time, but it will become fine at night, 16. And on Saturday, mostly fine with fresh to strong gusty westerlies at a high of 20. To the Otago Pallet Fires, tidal and fishing information. High tide tomorrow morning is at 10 to 8. And there is still no improvement to fishing conditions. Sorry about that. And that is local news for Thursday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.